when the kids are getting older, they're out of the house and you're getting older, you're like, let's have some fun. It's time for fun.
Lightness, easiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that are heavy. So, but I do think that you need confidence to get to that place
Sure.
in yourself, in your surroundings, in your life that you've built. And confidence really is one of those things that you have to earn it. You can't just, well, I mean, maybe you're given some of it by your parents, by your teachers as you grow up.
Yeah.
Do you suppose?
I hear what you're saying. I don't know if earned it, you mean that every time you do something, you prove to yourself and you build your
Yes.
confidence. That's what you mean by earn.
Right.
But also, there is a certain amount of, I think some people are just built that way. Like, at the end of the day, my husband, who is an 8, is going to exude more confidence normally than me. And a lot of that comes from his upbringing. So there's different things that shape us, right? Like some of us are just wired, I think. And you said it
Yeah,
based on
you
how we were
can.
raised, based on the experience we have, how people pour into us.
Right. And I think that the more confidence that you have, the more that you attract because you're putting forth a confident exterior. So people are attracted to that and they will be wanting that and they validate that even more,
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like a snowball effect. But I
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Life After Kids with Doctors Brooke and Lynne. I'm Dr. Brooke.
and I'm Dr. Lynne.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us again today. We've had a long, full day of recording yesterday, and we're back for some more first thing in the morning today to talk about a pretty big topic.
I know I thought we were going to
Take it a
be
little easier.
taking it easier this morning coming in, but no, we're just going to get right out the
at
gate.
it.
So that's okay. I think that for me at least, so anything we do is coming from our experience and it's usually shared by you guys in the comments that we get. And for me, building confidence in myself to get to a place where I take risks and be bold enough to live the life that I'm dreaming of has been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And we've taken some steps, both of us individually, to get there. And we're sharing those with you today.
Yeah, I love that. And by the way, because we were talking right before this, like another heavy topic, it feels like we've been doing a lot of that. I would love to feedback from you guys that are listening. DM us or let us know like what you guys we tell you that what you want to hear, but it seems like when we look at when you're listening, you want to hear the deep stuff and the tough stuff. But if you want more lighthearted stuff, let us know. We're here for
There's
you.
plenty of lighthearted stuff out there. I mean,
That's true.
I think that there's probably a shortage of conversations that are actually being vulnerable and getting to the root of the matter.
Yeah, that's true.
I know that we're not the only one, but that's where we shine, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where my interest lays. Although the older I get and the more I square some of this stuff away, the more I'm thinking, okay, well, let's just do fun stuff. Maybe that's because my Enneagram type, number 1, when I'm healthy and I'm in growth mode and not stressed, I act more like out of the characteristics of a 7, which, 7s are fun makers.
Yeah. That's actually
Light,
an interesting
easy,
point.
breezy.
Maybe that is the case. And I think there's a certain amount of and some of our women in this community have said that, like when the kids are getting older, they're out of the house and you're getting older, you're like, let's have some fun. It's time for fun.
Lightness, easiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that are heavy. So, but I do think that you need confidence to get to that place
Sure.
in yourself, in your surroundings, in your life that you've built. And confidence really is one of those things that you have to earn it. You can't just, well, I mean, maybe you're given some of it by your parents, by your teachers as you grow up.
Yeah.
Do you suppose?
I hear what you're saying. I don't know if earned it, you mean that every time you do something, you prove to yourself and you build your
Yes.
confidence. That's what you mean by earn.
Right.
But also, there is a certain amount of, I think some people are just built that way. Like, at the end of the day, my husband, who is an 8, is going to exude more confidence normally than me. And a lot of that comes from his upbringing. So there's different things that shape us, right? Like some of us are just wired, I think. And you said it
Yeah,
based on
you
how we were
can.
raised, based on the experience we have, how people pour into us.
Right. And I think that the more confidence that you have, the more that you attract because you're putting forth a confident exterior. So people are attracted to that and they will be wanting that and they validate that even more,
Mm-hmm.
so it's almost like a snowball effect. But I do think that, say you didn't have that upbringing, say you were pretty unsure or insecure of yourself when you were younger, um, even in your 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe as a young mom, I still think that there are ways. I know there are ways that you can get confidence, and I have them written down here.
Well, then you must know if you
There
wrote it
are
down.
two ways that you can build confidence no matter what. So, and again, the world will validate, you know, people for what they put forth, and that's great, but you can't rely on that. You have to, that confidence has to come from yourself, inner
Yes.
confidence. So even if you think you're pretty confident and you're like, well, but people don't, I don't get that back from people. It's okay. As long as it's coming from you, that's what counts.
Yeah. Do you equate confidence with self-worth?
Let's see. Let me think about that. Yeah.
I feel like
They're
they should
very
go hand in
correlational.
hand. I mean, it would be interesting to look at the meaning in the dictionary just to break that down because there's differences there, but I don't how do you have
Yeah, I
if
don't
you
think
don't
you
have
can,
self-worth, you probably can't have confidence.
right.
But can you have self-worth but not be confident? That would be my
Yes.
question.
I believe so.
Yeah, cuz
Because I think confidence is more of a verb, to be honest.
yeah.
And self-worth is the noun. It's the, so in other words, taking you guys back to English class, in other words, confidence is a doing. It comes from action. And self-worth is just a feeling. It's a gut,
Mhm.
you know, it's what is it? It's just that core, that foundation
Yeah.
that you have. And I
Yeah,
think that can be worked on too.
right. But and
But at the end of the day, I don't think you can do things to get more self worth. I think you just have to, other than love yourself, other than do loving things and tell yourself that you deserve it. Right. I know a lot of people that have come from like some meager, rough upbringing
mhm.
and they had to build a lot of self worth.
Sure.
But I
And
think we all do it in the same way, which is just deciding that we are worthwhile. It's a
yeah.
decision almost.
Yeah, and actually now I'm going to take a step back because I think you probably could, to your point, be pretty confident and exude confidence, but on the inside, just maybe what was done to you in the past or how you were raised, you could think very little of yourself.
Ah,
So I
yeah.
guess you could have one without the other in both directions.
Yeah.
I want to say that they most of the time will go hand in hand, and this might be a little too deep for this conversation, but I
No,
love these kind of
yeah.
conversations.
It's
It's
not too
just
deep for
interesting to
us.
think about. For me, so here's the difference for me. Sort of. I build my self-worth, and it's something that I don't know that I would say I struggle with because I don't think well, yeah, I do struggle with it a little bit. And I think there's two things there. One is like your self worth can't be like, where's your self worth coming from? Right? Because it shouldn't be the job you have or the title you have or all
Or
the
your
things
money.
that you have.
Hmm.
And so if you
Or
really,
compliments from other
or
people,
compliments from
validation
other
from other
people,
people.
and yeah, and this is an interesting topic, like to unpack all of this because I think the older we get, we need to let more of that go. But it's a struggle, I think, for a lot of women. For me, I would say I get my most self worth. I build my self worth from my faith. at the end of
Right.
the day, that's like its truest, purest
Yes.
form, is that I'm a child of God. I was created in God's
Yep.
image, and that is enough.
Right. And the people that I know that have had like very hard upbringings, maybe didn't come from anything, most of them found their worth in God, and that is in their faith.
Yeah.
That is one of the beautiful things about arriving at a place where you have faith in your creator, is because, and if you're Christian, at least, he's built you in his image, and um there's worth because he sacrificed for you, right? The ultimate
Yeah.
sacrifice.
And I would say that you can build, I mean, and there's so much scripture too about building confidence from your faith too. And asking for confidence. But you're right. Confidence, then, if we narrow it down to that, confidence is more of a verb, because you build confidence by taking action.
Yes. So here's where I believe, the two places that I believe that we can most directly access confidence. I'm sure there are other ways, downstream effects of lots of things,
Yep.
right? But the most direct way that I believe we can get confidence comes from, number one, not breaking promises to yourself.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm surprised you went with that one. I would have never. Go ahead. Okay, break it down,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
I'm
Because
not
so
sure I
that's,
agree.
well, I think you'll get there with me. It's like the bottom of the bottom. It's the foundation of the foundation. Because when you keep promises to yourself, it's that kind of inner validation, inner knowing that you're capable, you're worthwhile, you're prioritizing yourself. Your relationship with you is the most important. You're not as influenced by outside opinions,
Mm-hmm.
because you're mostly focused on keeping your own promise.
Interesting. I mean, I get how important that is to do for yourself and to grow, and not only to grow in this phase of life, but to really feel fulfilled. But that's
So let me
interesting.
see.
I wouldn't think about it in
I'm
that
put it
lens of confidence.
I put it in the lens of, who we are, where we are, right? And many of us are capable and confident because we've raised great adults. So
Mm-hmm.
it comes from that. But at this point, we're talking about our lives and thriving in our lives, right? And we're ultimately responsible for that. We know that. Um, but we say things that, oh, I would like this, or I'm gonna cut back on XYZ, drinking, sugar, whatever, or I'm gonna exercise now, or, I'm not gonna listen to people when they tell me not to do this because I
Yep.
like it, whatever. So it's confidence comes from saying something, that having the courage to say something that's important to you, whether that's out loud or just in your mind, or writing it down
Yes.
is even best, and then keeping that. Because once you keep that promise and you check that off and you look back on that, it's a pride and a confidence that you get from walking that walk with yourself.
Yeah. Okay. You got me there. I get that. I mean, because basically what you're telling yourself is you can do what you set out to do.
Right. And I think when you break promises, it's the opposite, right? You lose the trust and the faith in yourself. So
Yeah.
confidence is trust and faith in who you are
Yeah.
and what you can do.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, it's just like you and I. If I showed up here and I forgot to bring my clothes to wear for the podcast, and I'm late to our calls, and I mean, some of the stuff I do, but not all of it.
Wait,
But
what's the
you know what I
example?
mean? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, our partnership is going to be better if we keep our promises to each other, right?
Right.
No matter what, because then I'm feeling trustworthy of you, but I'm also feeling confident in our partnership. I think it's more important for an individual, but that's just an example.
Yeah. I think that's great. And I think that maybe it's hard for me to wrap my brain around, because the way I'm wired, I'm really, especially like in this current season of life, like, and by current, I mean this month, because the tide changes all the time, but like really trying to connect to like more discernment for myself and not listening so much to what other people tell me is right. And in fairness to other people around me, I do too much asking. Like I always want to, my default mode is like, well, but what do you think? And it could be something as simple as like, what do you think should go on my wall here? Or what do you know what I mean? And so that's a fair point. I mean, I think I'm confident in the areas where I do things on my own. Like I'm very confident in this business because I get up every day and I work the crap out of it and I've got my list and I get things done and I've seen it come to fruition. But I think to your point, um, to start with yourself, that could be a really hard thing for a lot of women to hear and like to take some steps to rely on yourself first.
Yeah.
And to, and I think that's going to go back then. Would you agree to like, what are your, get really clear on what your core values are first?
Mm,
So you know what promises you should be making to yourself.
right. Because you can't keep
No.
every promise that, if you were to just flippantly make promises, you can't keep them all.
Right.
But the confidence comes from keeping the important ones. So you've identified what is most important to you, and then you don't falter on that.
Yeah.
That bears confidence. That takes confidence, but it also breeds confidence, right? Keeping those promises. I know that's like, you know, if anybody's going to get there, it's going to be me. I'm going to go to the very basement of the issue, but we all have done it. And we've said, okay, I'm going to do dry January, right? Right now it's in January. And my friends are sending me memes, not reams, reels and memes about just funny things about dry January. And how many of us have done that? And then by the second week in January, it's like, oh, well, January is the worst month to do dry January. Why would you stop drinking in dry January? But if you keep that promise and you get all the way to January 30th and you look back at that and you think,
You see what you're capable of.
exactly, because you put yourself in a tough spot. There were times when you thought about having a glass of champagne or something like a glass of wine on a cold night, but you chose not to.
Yeah.
Confidence comes from sacrificing, I think,
Yeah.
to a certain extent, and sacrificing in light of keeping those promises to
I love that.
yourself. Okay.
Yeah. That's great.
The second place is probably more where we can spend our time because it's very relevant to a lot of what we talk about. But confidence comes from consistently putting yourself in your stretch zone, taking yourself out of your comfort zone, consistently putting yourself in your stretch zone, taking risks.
Right. And it's so important that we have that built into our goals framework. And it's actually a whole chapter of the book as well. And yes, there is nothing that will grow your confidence more than when you push yourself out of your comfort zone and see on the other side of it, that you can, especially if you come through in a really positive way. That's when
Well,
you really grow confidence.
even if you fail, actually, I would say that confidence comes from failing, but picking yourself back up and keeping
And
going
knowing you're
too.
strong enough to get through
Yeah,
it.
trying something and thinking instead of like, oh man, I suck. Like I didn't do that, but trying to reframe, which was our topic. We spoke a couple weeks ago. Trying to reframe it and look at it like, man, like I tried something. Not very many people have tried that. I'm the only one in my circle that I know that's tried to run a half marathon, and maybe I didn't make it. I'm not speaking from experience, but whatever that risk is that you quote unquote failed, you tried it.
Yeah.
And you got back up and you're going to try again. It's not going to stop you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the confidence on that would come from getting back up and
Getting
moving
back up.
forward. That's a choice because you could very well look at that and be like, I'm useless.
Yes. No, you could.
So the other side of that, where
and I'm sure
really,
there's a moment where when we fail, we all kind of think about that. But
yeah. Well, life is a series of failures that lead to success.
That's a good one.
I heard that from someone. I'm channeling my
everything.
Lynne, like
nothing is original.
That's not a Brooke original. I don't know where I heard that. Somebody And if I remembered, I would quote them, like I would give them the credit. So just know it doesn't come to me from me. But it's true. That's where you build your confidence is, can you get back up and do it again? But that's a hard, like, that's a hard pill to swallow. But I like, if you get through it and you come out on the other end and you did a good job, or you know, kicked butt, that's really where the confidence lies.
Yes. No,
And
I would say setting yourself up for success and cherry picking that a little bit is
mhm,
totally fine. At this, we don't need to make things unnecessarily hard for ourselves, but we
right,
do need to make sure that we are stretching a little bit,
exactly. And
right?
I could give, unless I'm interrupting you, an example from my own life. Did you have something else to say?
Please.
I don't want to derail you. So I think maybe one of the best things, I'm over dramatizing. It's definitely not one of the best things because, like, I have, like, God, I've got my husband, I got my kids. Okay, let's just, putting all that aside, because those are the best things that ever happened to us. But one of the best things okay, one of the best things that has happened to me, and probably the best thing that has happened to me for my confidence. Do you know what I'm
Fair
going to
enough.
say?
No.
I wonder if you do. Is joining a UAC.
Oh, no. I would never have said that.
Yeah, that was probably the best thing. And so this is a business group that Lynn and I are both a part of. That's for high achievers in business and in life. There are a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of them are chiropractors or in the chiropractic space. But anyway, Lynn had been a group member for years before my husband and I came into play. But that was a really, really hard, that first year in that group was really hard for me. It stretched me out of my comfort zone so much because just the caliber of people would have been tough for me anyway, but because they were peers, meaning they were in my workspace, it made them even more like, whoa, I'm talking to la la la. Like, it was like hard for me to get over
Yep.
and know, like, I had value to add to the conversation. And those first couple um gatherings were really, really tough for me, like a stretch. And I think you probably saw that there were times where I was like, I gotta go to, like, I'm going to bed, like, you guys can all stay up. And it was just like a lot for me to process. And I pushed my, like, it was just really a lot. But it was definitely definitely probably the best thing
Are
that's
you
happened for my
confident
confidence.
in that
Yeah,
statement?
well, because it's allowed me to be more sure of myself. And there was at least once that you and I spoke, like, on stage there, and there was some other speaking engagements that came out of that, which is really out of my comfort zone. But beyond that, the public speaking, because that's a whole nother issue. But just for me, the biggest benefit is just being able to work a room and be more confident that I have value added. And it doesn't matter what you're doing in your life or where I put you or, like, how successful I perceive you to be, I still have worth and I'm still confident in myself. And I mean, I had years, like, this, I think, like, I've I grew up very close to my dad. I had two brothers, most of my friends through college. Like, I just didn't necessarily do well with women. And probably not until UAC did I really feel just comfortable being myself talking to a woman, honestly. And that's only been in the last, what, 5 years?
Well, great. I
So
mean,
that's a raw thing to say. But, like, I would talk to a woman even just 7 years ago and be like thinking about, well, wonder what she wants me to say. I don't want to offend her. I don't want to this, like, what's she going to think? And I don't do that. The funny thing is, I don't do that with men at all. I'll sit down with a man and just, like,
huh.
so,
Yeah,
but it was I got off topic, but that's just an
I
example.
still do that. Well, not as much anymore, but like maybe going back even 5 years. There's so much growth. People say that all the growth happens in your 20s. I think there's like a lot of growth that happens from 40 to 50 still. Um, because you're just learning to shed these like layers of personality that have been there but don't no longer serve you, and you're
Yes.
becoming more authentic, so you're shedding like these layers of getting to the root of who you are. But I used to do that with like the popular girls, because I
Yeah.
would put myself back in high school, and I the truth is we tell ourselves these fake tales,
Mm.
right? Because I'm capable, I'm confident, I'm I'm everybody's different physically,
I thought
but
you're going to say I'm
I'm
popular.
beautiful. No, I'm just saying, I would take pride in my appearance or whatever. I mean, the playing field is even once
Yeah.
you're adults, right? But you sometimes you revert back to that. So, no, thanks for sharing that. I think that the point that if you're listening, what you could take from that is that just placing yourself in those situations where you for a year you said you were uncomfortable. And
Probably over a year, but
yeah,
that first year was
and
really
just
hard for
doing it
me
anyway.
and doing it anyway.
Right? So that's what I mean, like, so you made a promise to join the group and you didn't just cut and run in 2 months. If you had, would you have felt confident about that decision, or are you happier now because you stuck with it? It was hard, but you got through it to
For
the
sure.
fruits. Yeah.
For sure. And, let me ask you a question just to tease some out of you, because I think this could be two, they're not opposite ends, but just two examples of building confidence. Because I know, like, you growing up, if I'm putting words in your mouth, stop me. But I would say something maybe for you that, and for me too, and for many women, but you talk about this a lot, is like building confidence actually in your workouts and in the gym.
Mm,
And I
yeah.
say that because I know, like, when you were younger, you weren't like playing a ton,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I mean,
So I know
especially
you've shared
when,
that before.
yeah, especially if I know there's lots of you guys out there that do CrossFit. And I was going for years. I went to this great community gym that was really mix of like functional fitness and, we were rolling giant tires. And I've worked with personal trainers who have looked at me when I said I didn't think I could do something and just kind of like said, no, you're doing it. And then I did it. And so, absolutely, confidence comes from, but I would just lump that all together. That's just from basically putting myself in my stretch zone.
Right.
Right. Cause I wasn't a high school athlete. Didn't do that as a youth, where I'm so proud of our kids growing up. They're just growing up with so much more of a fitness centric, at least from exercise, right? Like
Yeah. It's
back in
more of
the
a focus
I
now.
just watched a video the other day and it was a real news coverage of, and I think it was the 80s. And these ladies were out in their like jazzercise and they were jogging. And the journalist was like, there's a new trend with suburban women when they're running for enjoyment.
Shut up. Is
Yeah,
that real?
it was real. So
How the
anyway, I
times change.
digress, but yeah, 100% I get confidence by, stretching my muscles physically and, metaphorically too, with but for sure in the gym, because you're putting yourself in a stretch zone.
Yeah, you're building your confidence that way. I think I just wanted to give them some concrete examples. By them I mean you guys listening. um because we can talk about like stretching yourself and getting out of your comfort zone, and I didn't want you to go to like, oh my gosh, I've got to like run a marathon or climb a mountain, like
Or
it
do a
can,
public speaking
or
gig
a
or
public speaking, right? I want you to see and own that, like, it in everybody's push out of their comfort zone is going to look different. So don't feel like something you're doing to push yourself out of your comfort zone and gain confidence is like not worth it because it's so menial compared to what somebody else would do. But for you,
well,
if it's stretching you,
I think your tolerance for that grows the more
absolutely.
that you step your toe outside of there. And also your I think your yeah, like how far you're willing to tread outside of that comfort zone
Yes.
will expand. It's you just have to do it. And so if that little thing is talking to, somebody, a mom that you or sending a text to somebody that you don't know, and that's going to stretch you because you're nervous about it,
Mm-hmm.
then do that. And then do some things like that consistently. And eventually you'll think, well, that I can maybe step 2 toes outside here now.
Right. I mean, a similar, like you're saying, like it could be, just to use a metaphor, like, okay, I'm gonna walk a 5K, and then, oh, I could do that. I'm
Yeah.
gonna run the 5K.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do a half marathon or
Yeah.
a 10K. Like once you get a
Every
little bit of confidence, it
everybody
snowballs.
yeah, everybody is afraid, and you look at somebody who's really accomplished and you think, oh my gosh, they're amazing. And I could never do that. Well, they started where you did.
Yeah.
They just started sooner.
Right.
They're just a little bit ahead of you. But how great is that? Because they can be a role model. They can show you the way,
Yeah.
right?
It's so true. I remember, yeah, because it's always going to be clunky when you get started, when you're building confidence or you're building whatever the things
Yeah.
that you're doing.
If I had only known that earlier and given myself permission to be clunky,
Yeah. And to do it anyway.
do it anyway.
I know. And we don't. I think we wait for us to be perfect at whatever it is that we're going to do. And
Or
it's
if we're
not going to
not
be.
perky.
You know
If
who
we're not
used,
perky, we perfect. We just shy away.
yes.
We
And you
don't
know
even want to
who,
try.
one of the, I remember, I was on, this was years ago, but like I listened to Rachel Hollis quite a bit. I read all her books, which I love. I thought her books were great, especially Girl Stop Apologizing. I could link that in the show notes, put it in our store. But I remember her talking a lot and saying like, you guys, because she did a lot of big speaking events. She might still be doing them. I'm not sure. I kind of went on to other things, but she was, and I think she is now doing like really big like events that she puts on and speaking and all the things she was doing. And I think she had gotten on some TV shows, but she was like, you guys, I didn't get here like for real. Like, go back 5 years and look at the stuff I was doing on social media and how bad it was. And I think I even might have gone back because she literally gave links. Like, she was that humble that she was like, seriously, go and look at my old YouTube stuff. You're not going to get like, it's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be the best at it when you start, but you have to start somewhere.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that was an eye opener for me to have the freedom to be like, okay.
I think the first time that I really stuck in that and really see that is with Life After Kids. Like when we first started doing that, and I got some really good advice from a great friend, Laura, which was right before that. I did some work with her,
Oh,
and
that's
her
right.
advice was just that: give yourself permission to be clunky.
Mm.
Because it was cringy. if you like our work, and you want to laugh, you
Go to the very
you
first
go to
post.
the very beginning.
There you go.
Oh, they were terrible.
Scroll all the way back our Instagram
Right.
feed.
I mean, we said good things, but we've just learned so much, and you have to do it to learn, to alter, to change. So you can't get from A to Z. You got to go through B, C, D, E, F, etc. And each step is a part of the daisy chain to get you there.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think, talking through this, I'll let you go. What else do you have on your list? And then
No,
we'll
go
circle
ahead.
back.
I was just going to say the only thing else I would add
Yep.
would be if you're listening to this and you're at the beginning and you just know that it takes confidence to start. And so you need to
Just deciding to do it.
just deciding to do it takes confidence, and you're feeling unsure or insecure or not confident. You just you might do well to adopt the act at first. Just, act as if, basically.
Yep.
What would I do if I were a confident person? What would a confident person do? What would a role model, somebody that I'm looking up to, what would they do in this situation?
Yeah.
And then act from that place. Like it's perhaps a false sense of, you could argue, false sense of confidence, but it's a galvanizing place.
Yeah.
You can tap into if you need to.
Yeah.
Right? To galvanize you to do what you need to do to get started. And once you get started and you don't break your promises to yourself, you'll gain confidence along the way.
Especially if it's something you're a little bit afraid of.
Mm.
And you make the choice to do it anyway, whatever that looks like. You're automatically building confidence.
Yeah.
So true.
Here's how you know, I just a recent post about this. Here's how you know if you should do something. If it might stretch you, in other words. If it excites you, but scares you at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? If you get that combination, then it's something that you need to explore in doing for yourself.
That's great.
Yep.
That's really great. The only other thing, what I wanted to add, just to kind of bring this full circle, is, we talked initially about like a lot of times you build the confidence in the hard thing, you doing it and working through it, and maybe struggling a little bit along the way. Like I mentioned that first year for me in our business group. And I just hope you will keep that in mind when it comes to parenting your older kids, and allow them to be in their struggle. Like, don't feel the need to swoop in and fix everything for them, because the best way that they're going to build confidence is by struggling a little bit and taking the step to do it on their own and figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how we get there. So they get there that way too.
Yeah, it's really that's a really important, don't miss that opportunity to sometimes be a little hands off and let your kids figure it out, especially like the kids that are like high school transitioning to college, the college years, because there are a lot of things that come up. I mean, Andrew, my middle son, had no business going as far away to school as he did. I'm in New England, he's in Texas. The kid, Andrew, I hope you're not listening. I know you're not listening. Before he left, I joke, like, he was afraid to go into the post office. I'd say, "Can you take this for me and drop?" He was like, I was like, what is he doing? But we didn't push him to go. He wanted to go. And I was like, Ken, I don't know how, like, I know he wants to do this, so I'm not like, he's got to live his life, but like, seriously. And Ken's like, this is going to be the best thing for him. He needs to get this far away from us to figure shit out.
Yep. No, I could see that. And that's what's happening.
And it's amazing what it's done for him. And now we have a group family text called the Stillies, where he's literally texted us and been like, we've been like ranting, and he texts us in all caps, FITFO.
FITIO.
FITFO.
What does it stand for?
Andrew's words to live by. Figure it the F out.
Oh, okay. Did he come up with that on his own?
That's it from his fraternity.
Okay.
That's what they were told when they were having to plan their
Andrew.
events, and the pledges were in charge, and they would be like, I'm not sure how to make this happen. And the president would be, that was
Figure
their
it out.
FITFO. It's on you.
That's great.
So,
hey, we should all join a fraternity.
Maybe we should.
It's not all bad.
At any rate, ladies, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always a pleasure to have you. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok for updates and everything that's going on in the Life After Kids world. You'll learn more about the book release through those outlets and channels. You can go to www.lifeafterkids.com to get all of our free resources and to access the blog. There's a lot going on over there. We've been revamping that for you. And what's the last one I wanted to say? You think I know I say it so much, like a broken record. If you want to watch instead of listen, we're over on YouTube.
Come over and see our cool, amazing new aesthetic studio. Check it out.
I know you're excited about that. Thanks, ladies. I hope that you will make FITFO your anthem, and I hope you have a great day and an even better week. FITFO.